Hey home cooks, welcome back to Gregcipes. Today I'm making a steak. So there's a bunch of different ways to prepare steak. I'm going to show you my preferred method and the method I think is probably the easiest, pan-searing. For this I'm using a ribeye steak that's maybe about an inch thick. Before we do anything, we want to let the steak rest until it reaches room temperature or close to room temperature so that when we cook it, it cooks more evenly and the outside doesn't cook a whole lot faster than the inside. The first thing we're going to do is pat dry our steak and then season both sides with salt and pepper. When you season your steak, make sure you get seasoning on all the sides of the steak too. A good way to do this is to just pick up your steak after you've seasoned it and just mop up all the seasoning that got dropped onto the board with the sides of the steak. After that, we can get right to cooking. I'm going to pour some grapeseed oil into a hot pan. I'm using grapeseed oil because it has a really high smoke point, which makes it really good for searing meat at high temperatures. The key to getting a steak to come out the way you want is having a lot of control over the temperature and the timing of which you cook it. I'm going to try to make my steak come out medium rare. So I'm going to cook it at a relatively high heat and only cook it for a couple minutes on each side. Once our oil is hot, we can go ahead and lay our steak down in the pan. You want to make sure that when you lay the steak down, you hear it start to sizzle, because that means you're going to get a good sear. If you don't hear it sizzle, don't put the steak in the pan yet. Once the steak has got a good sear on one side, we're going to go ahead and flip it over. Make sure you also get a good sear on the side of the steak with all the fat on it. You want to render that out. Once we've developed a good crust on the other side, we can start developing some more flavors. We'll start doing this by adding a good knob of butter into the pan. Once the butter is melted, we're going to smash a couple cloves of garlic and add those in. And we're also going to go ahead and add in some herbs. I'm going to use thyme and rosemary because I think they taste great with steak. Once the garlic and herbs have had a chance to fry in the butter for a little bit, we're going to put them all on top of the steak and start basting our steak with our garlicky, herby butter mixture. After we've been basting for like a minute and the steak is cooked just the way we want it, we're going to go ahead and take it out of the pan so it can rest. While it's resting, we also want to put all the herbs and garlic that we used right on top of it, and also pour the juices from the pan on top of it, so while it's resting, we can let the steak absorb all those flavors that we created. After the steak has rested for about as long as you cooked it, it's ready to serve and enjoy. There you have it, pan-seared ribeye. As always, let's take a bite. That meat is really tender, it's nice and fatty. The herbs just add a lot of flavor. I hope you make it for yourself and enjoy. If you enjoyed this video, remember to subscribe for new Gregcipes every Tuesday. To come out. So I'm going to try to use a lady. Sometimes words are hard. I don't know why I can't say that word. Here on one side, we're gonna go, I can't calm down, it's so exciting.